A current issue today that most people don't consider or put into the category of current issues is the population decline in rural America. This is happening all across the United States. How we see neighbors and close friends move to bigger and efficient cities. I have seen this myself in my area. Many of my friends have moved to the bigger and more efficient cities because of either job situations, health, or education choices. In this speech, I'm going to explore 3 categories or topics that I'm going to talk about. 1. How is population growth changing in rural America? 2. Why are people moving from the spacious and freeing feeling of rural living to the more efficient and bigger cities? And 3. I'm going to describe the positive and negative effects of rural and urban living. The first thing I'm going to address is how is population growth declining in rural America. We have seen over the past years many people move to bigger cities. That's why cities are expanding and becoming more bigger. In a research study by John Cromite, the data showed that from 1920 to 1970, a 50-year span, 30% of people moved from rural areas to urban areas. And the decline is increasing a lot over the past years. But what will this downfall do to our rural communities? What will it do to our urban? One major reason would be stores. The livestock production would go down and farming would decrease. Many people live off the farm that people harvest each year. But what would it do? Why are people moving out of rural areas to urban areas? This is the second topic in my speech. 3 major reasons for this. 1 is the job situation. There aren't very many jobs here in rural areas. And if there's a small town, you have a very limited choice to your jobs. 2 is health and hospitals. In rural areas, you might have 1 or 2 hospitals, but you don't have a whole lot of choice. And in the long run, you always start making that trip to bigger cities. 3 is the education. Education is very important to families, especially to parents who are raising children. They want a good school system, and they want choices. So moving to the city gives them those choices to provide a better school for their kids. And another reason why is for their protection. Many people feel more protected in cities than they do out in the country, out in the open. Many people feel safer when they have neighbors right across from the street from each other. But this doesn't stop people who live in rural areas. Many people continue living in rural areas today. But the issue is, what if it continues to decrease? The third topic in my speech is the positive effects in rural areas. The positive being the spacious and freeing feeling, the nature, the enjoyment, the peace and quiet of the country. The second is the land for farming and livestock. Without that land, there would be no place to raise livestock or farm to produce food for our grocery stores and our people. But the negative is the limit of hospitals, education, and jobs. Unless you are a farmer of produce or livestock, there's not many job choices or anything else to choose from around here. Plus, research has found that if you live in the country, you have a higher increase of poverty. Then the positive and negative effects of urban living is the abundance of jobs, health, and education, plus the protection. The negative is the traffic, constant noise, crime, and pollution. The efficiency of cities is a plus also, because it's cheaper to live in cities. Plus, you get the protection that you want. In conclusion to this speech, it kind of shows how urban living relies on rural living, and rural living resides on urban living. We cannot live without each other. And if rural living continues to decrease over the years, what will it do for our country? Farming and livestock would drastically drop in our production. I hope you learned something from this speech. How, why, and the positive and negative effects of the population growth in rural America. And I hope that someday we can show that our increase in population will increase in rural America. Thank you.